Hey guys, welcome back to the Cat Spear Podcast. My name is John, and today we have back on the show Mr. Aquatic Apes, Lenny Logsdale. We are going to be talking about underwater filming equipment and things you should consider if you want to start your own channel. Welcome to the show, Lenny.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, do you use a GoPro? Which cameras do you like underwater?
So I'm biased in this area because I am sponsored by Insta360. But I'll say I have some thoughts on cameras. It doesn't really matter. And if you can afford any camera, personally, I think the Insta360 is the best one because it has a really big sensor on it. It's a 1-inch sensor, which basically means you can film better in low light environments like underwater in the ocean. Having said that, it's also, I think it's about the same price as the GoPro 9. So it's on the higher end of the spectrum. Don't let not having that stop you from filming your dives. I have a couple of GoPros as well as the Insta360s, and I use them when I need it for battery or whatever. And the viewers never know the difference. Like maybe if you're a professional filmer, you can see that some things have been picked up more in the low light. It doesn't really matter as long as you tell an interesting story. I know we've been saying this in every single episode, but it doesn't matter. I've filmed viral videos on my cheapest GoPro, which I bought for, I think I got it on sale for $80 like 5 or 6 years ago. There was some sort of a Black Friday sale, and I still use it today when other cameras run out of battery, and it doesn't matter. I think that, let's say you have a $500 budget, should you buy one Insta360 with the 1-inch mod with the big sensor, or one Hero 9, or two Hero 6s? I think two Hero 6s for that same, or maybe even it's cheaper than $500 for two of those, because as we were talking about, John, when you're out on the water, for me, I don't like to open if I run out of battery, I don't like to open my underwater housing to change the battery because your hands are wet, you're wearing spearfishing gloves, you may or may not be on a boat, but it's probably still wet. And then you let moisture get into your housing, and then you close it up, and then the lens is going to fog up. So you're better off having two cameras with two housings that you can just switch out. So if one camera's not working properly, if the battery dies or memory card's full, you have a backup rather than one fancy one.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I think it comes down to friction, like in having the lowest amount of friction possible. Because, and I've missed a lot of good fish footage because, oh, where did I put my camera? The one camera that I needed, or a housing, or, maybe it was out there and the battery died, and it's like, I'd rather just go, spearfish than worry about the footage grab. But if you kind of set yourself up to not fail, which is like the reason why I just got like 6 GoPro 4s for like $150 if you look on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. And my rationale there was like, yeah, it's not a Hero 9 or an Insta360, but at least I know I can bring like 3 or 4 of these cheap cameras with the memory card, all with the same settings, and I can just leave them on my float or on my boat or whatever, and I can just go. And then I could also, because a lot of times for myself, I do the rabbit mode, which is like you're breathing up, you're focusing on getting your good breaths, and then you click the button and it beeps, and then you go down, and then you kind of like save your battery that way, and then you like turn it off when you get back to the surface. But there have been phenomenal fish where I thought I had it on and it was off, or vice versa, and you miss it. So it's like, or if you do certain fish, you never know. Like it could just come out of the blue when you're on the surface or whatnot, so you didn't have your GoPro on. So I'm more now in the camp of you should just record everything and then make it easy so that you can get all the footage, and you don't have to worry about it till you get back to the. That's what I'm trying to do now. Yeah.
You just leave your camera on.
Well, now, yeah, because it's like, that's my rationale is like if you have 3 or 4 GoPros, that should last you 3 or 4 hours, because or at least some of the older ones that don't have the screen. If you don't have the screen, because I don't really need the screen because you can't use it with the underwater housing anyways. So I'm just like, okay, at least I have an armada of cameras that I could just leave on and then delete all the footage if I don't need it.
That's cool. You never miss a thing. That's right.
But do you have any settings that like you like, or do you does Insta360 have like a pro tune, or Do you like to do 4K, 2.7, certain frame rate? Like what kind of stuff do you like in that regard?
Yeah, I shoot in 4K for a specific reason though, because so many of my videos are vertical. If you take a 4K video that's like this and you crop it like this, it's actually, I think it's actually 1080p sideways. So if you start with 1080p and then you crop it like this, it's even lower definition. You know what I mean? And so for that reason, I shoot in 4K. The widest angle your camera offers, both Insta360 and GoPro have super wide angles. I go back between 30 and 60 frames a second. I don't know. To be honest, I can't even really see the difference. I know there's a difference, but
Well, that's what's weird because it's like if you want it to be natural for the eyes, you want 24, right? But when you're spearfishing, you want the frame by frames, depending on if you want to like slow mo or maybe get a screen capture shot or something like that. But
yeah,
I know a lot of guys will shoot in 60 just so they can pull and do the slow mo, but then they'll slow it down or they'll expand the clip so that it's actually 24, which is a lot easier on the eyeballs. I could be speaking out of my butt right here, but I'm just trying to relay what I've seen other guys do. I just probably don't do it right.
I don't know. I mean, and again, it's like it's YouTube. It's not National Geographic, and you want your footage to look as nice as possible. But know that when people are watching it on their phone, it's probably not in full 4K unless they have amazing internet. It's probably in 1080 or maybe even 720. And I don't know. If I happen to be shooting at 30 frames a second, I'll still slow it down. It still is okay. For me, it's nice to have 60 because so much of my videos is a voiceover narration. And if I'm trying to like finish my sentence before pulling the trigger on the fish, it's nice to have the ability to slow that clip down. And the viewer probably you definitely wouldn't even know it. And then that's why at the end of the sentence, it's just in time for the trigger to be pulled, and so it gives you a little more editing room if you shoot in 60 frames a second. But the most important is wide angle. For the Insta360, you can shoot in log mode, which gives you a lot more room to color grade afterwards than on the GoPro, which you can shoot in flat mode, which gives you a little more room to color grade. It's not quite the same.
Do you do a lot of color grading?
I've been starting to. I've been getting more into it. And the most important thing, in my opinion, for color grading is just you don't want it to look color graded. You just want it to look normal. It's tempting, and you can see in my videos and probably many others. When someone learns, oh, you can color grade because their next video is super saturated and super contrasted, and after that is probably a slow decline in the saturation and contrast.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that one as well. Especially when you have footage. Our water here in SoCal and Mexico isn't necessarily clear. So a lot of times you'll get down to say 30, 40 feet and it's pretty green. So then you're trying to spend time trying to make it look visually appealing, which is like why I'm always jealous of like the guys in Hawaii or where you're at, where it's like it looks like you're swimming in glass, and for us it looks like you're swimming in miso soup. But it's regarding you said voiceover, and you're like one of the better guys in the voiceover game. Do you have like a special microphone, or like what do you use for that?
I just got a special mic, which I'm using now. I mean, it's not special. It's the cheapest Rode. I don't know if this is a video or not, but if people see this, but it's the Rode. It's the cheapest Rode. It's like $100. The cheapest Rode mic.
So that's the Rode mic, what, NT or something? It's a USB mic.
Yes, the NT. That's the one. The NT USB is the name of it.
Cool. I have the Pod mic by Rode, and I don't know. I didn't even know yours existed, and I just saw it. I was like, that would have been a way better setup. It looks a lot easier. But
I think yours is better.
This
is the cheap one.
Oh, I guess they're both $100. It's just you have to have like a little XLR port thing. But I like yours because you could take yours anywhere you want. You can just plug it into your computer, whereas I would have to take like a setup and all that jazz.
Yeah, this goes into the USB port, and It does the job. It's nicer than speaking into the phone. I'm sure it's not as nice as your one with the proper soundboard or whatever. But for people who want to do it, I would recommend just using your iPhone and don't worry. Because it looks confusing. That's why I bought this one, to be honest. I just thought, oh, I could spend an entire day learning how to use one of those Rode soundboards and spend hundreds more dollars. Or I could make one more video and just buy this. And so I thought, all right, I'll just get the cheaper one. I'm sure it'll sound fine.
No, I think that's perfect. I guess that's all the gear, right? It's like, do you ever shoot with your just phone when you're out there, just capturing, or like how do you get the shots that are not GoPro shots?
They're not GoPro shots.
Or are they all like are small camera shots?
One thing you can do, which is a little different, is and I've experimented with it. It has benefits and downsides. Is if you take a 360 cam and put it on your gun, especially if you have a breakaway setup. So this is your gun, and right where your thumb is a 360 cam, which if you've seen them, they're not as small as a GoPro. They're kind of tall. And so the benefit of that is you have a clear shot of the fish in front of your gun. And so what a 360 cam does is it shoots everything around you. When you crop it down, I think it's in around 1080. So it's still like a good enough picture. And you never miss anything. So if your gun's pointing this way, and there's a shark here, swims around like that, you can follow the shark the whole way without moving your head or the gun. It films everything always, so you never miss a shot, which is cool. I don't recommend using a 360 cam for the little world effect. I think it looks weird. But if you use it as a way to get shot diversity, I think it's a great tool. So a fish swims in front of your gun. You can film shooting the fish. If you can have a second one on your head, even better. You get 2 angles of shooting the fish, 2 camera angles. And then you also have the added benefit of having the 360 cam. It's also pointing at you because it's pointing everywhere. So you get a little bit more personalization. You can get the third person perspective of seeing the person's face laying down underwater. And if they're holding their gun out, you can see their whole body and you can understand, oh, look, they're really laying on the coral in a way you can't understand in a first-person perspective. And then also, if it's a breakaway setup, if you shoot a big fish, you don't have to worry about losing your camera. But also, then your spear gun is a selfie stick. So let's say you stone a fish, you can carry the fish up and then have your spear gun. You hold the tip of your spear gun and hold it out a little bit. You have an awesome third-person perspective of you swimming up from the bottom, holding a fish. With your spear gun, which at that point is just a selfie stick. And then the downside is there's a giant camera on your gun, and it's kind of annoying, and it looks weird.
I like that a lot,
though. But it's an interesting way to film a little different.
Yeah, I like that you have multiple angles just to give you some more creativity in your editing room. And I didn't realize that the 360 actually did the real world 360. That's huge. Like I would definitely now want to look into getting one of those on my gun for sure.
The 360 cam?
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Just to be able
to
have
cool.
that,
Honestly,
that look.
It looks silly, and your friends will make fun of you because it's like as tall as your iPhone, and it's on your gun.
That big?
But the camera angles are cool. Yeah, you want to see it? I got it.
Yeah,
right
yeah, absolutely. I want to see how big that sucker is.
So this is it.
Wow.
And so it sits on your gun like this. I don't do it too often because it is big, but honestly, you get cool angles from it. And then you get so many camera perspectives because you have one on your head, and then you have this one pointing at you, and this one pointing at the muzzle of the gun, and everything around you is also filmed. And so
legit.
it is a good option.
Have you ever just put it on like a float line and just had it kind of like follow you, or like maybe even have it kind of behind, so it's not in your line of sight? But have you been exploring with any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, follow cam would be awesome. I've never done it. Also, it'd be cool to attach it to a weight if you're in a place with not a lot of current and you know you'd be diving in the same spot and just leaving it there. It's got an hour battery life. So then it could be amazing. It'd be so cool. You could get yourself going down and get a full hunt on there.
Yeah, I've been trying to think of like creative ways just like that, where maybe if you had like 3 of those and you know that the zone or the reef you're going to be at for like an hour, and you drop all 3 in different spots, but then you actually just have you going and then you can, I just think that's like, oh, now you're in the like a video game, which would be sick.
Yeah, Ryan Myers posted a video yesterday, and he went down with that Hawaiian guy in his videos,
Justin Lee.
And
Oh, nice.
Justin Lee. And so that guy Justin's spearfishing, and Ryan's holding the camera, and like they're in a cave, and this is Justin, and then Ryan is a little bit behind him filming, and then all of a sudden the camera angle switches, and Ryan's way over on the right behind a rock for the shot of I think he shoots a moo. And I thought it was so cool how they switched the angle. And anyways, he later said in the video, like, it was actually 2 dives, and he went up to breathe up, and then when he came back down, he couldn't equalize properly, so he went to a different spot. But if it was intentional, like, it's like professional to do that sort of thing, you know? Like, the viewer probably doesn't even realize unless you edit videos. But like that shot diversity, it makes the video so much more interesting and easier to watch, I think.
Absolutely. So is there any other pieces of gear that, I know gear doesn't matter necessarily as much, but is there anything else that you found through your travels that it would be helpful?
Yeah, I have one good tip. On your dive computer, or even if you're not wearing a dive computer, on your wrist, you know those little mini mirrors that people put on their car, on their side mirrors on their car? They're like cylindrical, and so they're like the backup mirrors. I put one of those on my dive computer when I'm diving, so that I can look at my GoPro to make sure it's on when I dive down. Because if you're wearing your hood and it's wavy, you often can't hear the beep. And
Smart.
so I rely on looking at a mirror to make sure it's on.
So smart. So smart. What dive watch are you using?
This is the Garmin.
Garmin. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I think that does it for this episode. If you guys want to see and talk to Lenny, you go to @aquatic apes on all the socials and reach out to him and say hi. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.